Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new here. My name is Brittany. I post makeup related content every single week along with numerous different kinds of shorts ranging from creative food inspired makeup looks on Fridays all the way to transitions and tutorials. If that's your kind of vibe, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Have you ever stood in the makeup aisle of any store and just thought, what is the difference between these products? Or how am I supposed to choose which one works best for me? If so, this video is for you. Today, I am breaking down how to pick the perfect product for you, all the way from skin prep to setting spray. Majority of these are going to be based on skin type and undertones, and I go into detail on how to figure those out, along with goals and budget. Also include timestamps in the description box so that then you can easily skip to whichever step you struggle with the most. If you at any point have a question, drop it in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Alrighty, so grab a drink, grab a snack, settle in, and let's get into it. Like I said, I'm going to be going through my entire makeup routine start to finish. I'm going to tell you about some of the ways that you can pick the best products for you. Starting off with skin prep. A lot of people skip this step. At the least, you should be using a moisturizer. Finding the right skin prep for you is kind of trial and error. I personally like the POV Beauty one. Drench It is a milky toner, Drip It is a serum, and then Whip It is the moisturizer that you use last. To be honest, I used to be the person who would only use moisturizer, and then I tried this and it has changed my life. I do have relatively sensitive skin and this stuff doesn't break me out. It actually helps prevent me from breaking out. Not to mention these products feel and smell incredible. Next, I like to put on some sort of lip moisturizer. I've been using a lot more lip products lately and it's slowly transitioning to winter where I am. So the colder weather makes my lips a little bit chapped. So I like to do some sort of lip moisturizer before I do any other stuff as well. Usually I will opt for my Laneige lip mask, but I don't have that up here with me right now, so I'm going to go in with my Lucky Chick one. It's Lip Love by Lucky Chick. I do like this one. Laneige, I just feel like works better for me. You could do chapstick or something else, or just not do it if you prefer to do it that way. I personally just do not like the feeling of foundation or concealer or anything like that on my lips. This makes it a lot easier for me to wipe off after those steps and apply my lip plumper directly to my lips without having that barrier in between, so then it can really plump my lips. Now we're going to move on to primer. Primer is like the matchmaker between skin and makeup. Please keep in mind that not all primers are for everyone. My mother and I have very different skin types. What works for me does not always work for her. If you have oily skin, you're going to want to opt for a mattifying or blurring primer. So some keywords to look for are Feel Control, Soft Matte, and Shine Control. And if you have texture, a lot of times silicone based primers can be good for hiding texture. If you have dry skin, you want to go for a hydrating primer. Some keywords would be dewy, radiant, hydrating, moisturizing, hydra, stuff like that. If you have combination skin like myself, you could use two different primers. A lot of times I'll use a matte one in my oily areas, so my T-zone, around my mouth and my nose, and then I will go in with a hydrating primer all over my face. If you're going for longevity, you could also pair it with or just use a grippy type of primer. One of my favorites is the e.l.f. or the Milk or even the Wet n Wild Nightmare Before Christmas grippy primer. They're so good. All in all, your primer should solve your skin issue. For me personally, lately I have been using the Farrah Smooth Focus Face Primer in my oily areas, anywhere that I want to be matte. Sometimes I'll just put it all over my face too. Don't forget to prime your neck too, because you put makeup on your neck. If you don't, you should. I will also go in with my Wet n Wild SpongeBob BFF Priming Mist. This is a hydrating priming mist. It's supposed to hydrate and brighten, and it smells so good. I'm gonna jump into foundation now. I will go over how to pick your spot concealer when we get to concealer, but I'm not gonna spot conceal today. I feel like foundation is the one that stresses people out the most. I know when I first got into makeup, I had no clue what I was doing, and I did not know how to pick a foundation. I kind of just grabbed whichever one looked good enough and then left it with that. Well, the first step when you're picking a foundation is pick the finish you want. A lot of times people with oily skin will opt for a matte finish or even a neutral matte so it still looks like skin texture. Dry skin will often opt for radiant or serum or even dewy finishes, and combination skin will usually go for an in-between of those, natural finish or satin finish. But if you have textured skin, as you can see, I have textured skin. Oftentimes a super matte finish will enhance your texture or make it noticeable, so be careful with that. Second thing to decide on a foundation is what coverage do you want? Do you want natural light coverage? If so, you should go for a skin tint or a light coverage foundation. If you want everyday glam but not full glam, medium coverage will typically be good. Oftentimes you can build stuff up, so if you do get a light coverage, you're just gonna have to put more product on, but it can be built up to be full coverage. Not always, but sometimes. If you are a full glam girl like myself, or you have discoloration that you want covered up, you're gonna wanna go for full coverage. You can make a medium coverage work. You might have to spot conceal, and you may have to build it up a little bit, but it is doable. Third thing with deciding a foundation will be your undertones. There's a lot of mixed ways to figure out what undertones you have. The way that I do it and that I find works for me is I hold up my wrist to some light. If your veins look blue or purple, then you have cool undertones. If they look green, then you have warm undertones. If you have a mix of both, which I do, then you have neutral undertones. And lastly, when you are at the store actually shade matching, match it to your neck and your chest, not your face. Especially if you self-tan or just tan in general, because I guarantee you most self-tanning girlies don't put it all over their face. I'm using the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation. I have combination skin. This is medium buildable coverage, and it's long lasting. A lot of finding the right products for you is going to be trial and error. And I know that that might sound expensive, and a lot of you might just be seeing dollar signs, because trust me, I was for a while. But there are drugstore brands that serve up really good quality products for all types of skin. As you can see when I drag this down my neck, you can't see the difference. That means the foundation is your skin tone. For concealer, you'll have a couple different shades for a couple different jobs, so it kind of depends on what you're going for in a concealer. The main two differences are one is for brightening, one is for spot concealer. For brightening, you want to go at least 2 shades lighter than your foundation. A lot of times a liquid or cream concealer is going to help your skin look really lifted. For my brightening, I typically go for the Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Concealer. I love serum concealers. I think they're amazing. Or I will go with the Tarte Shape Tape Extra Creamy because it does not crease under my under eyes. Today, I will be using Tarte Shape Tape for that. And then for spot concealing, which I didn't do today, but I do usually, could go around the same shade as your foundation. You just don't want to go darker than your foundation. So either go foundation or a little bit lighter. And a matte, long-lasting formula is going to work best to conceal those spots. I have personally found that a pot concealer works best, a concealer in a pot. If your under eye creases often, you should try out a lightweight, a serum, or a hydrating concealer and see how that works, because I found that when I used those, they did not crease. Now let's talk about cream blush and bronzer. They do help elevate your makeup. They do add an extra layer of dimension. Plus with your bronzer, you could opt for a contour, which will really help sculpt your face and make you look so snatched. For cream bronzer, if you have oily skin, I would recommend opting for a cream to powder formula. And if you have dry skin, I would recommend a balm or a dewy type bronzer. With bronzers in general, powder too, the undertones matter. If you are going for a sun-kissed look, you're going to want to opt for a more warm-toned bronzer. And if you want it to look neutral, go for a natural shade. And if you want it to be sculpting, structural, go for a cool-toned bronzer. I go for a cool-toned bronzer because I like that sculpted look. I place it under my cheekbones, a little bit on my forehead, under my jaw, a little bit on my nose. Occasionally, I will put it on my eyelid or on my lips to make them look fuller, but I do not do that on a regular basis. For blush, you kind of want to go off of your personality. If you want it to be dewy and glowy type looking, you're going to opt for a balm type blush. If you want it to look a little more natural, go for a liquid. And for long wear, you want to go cream to powder. You can kind of go any shade for this. I personally just go with whatever I'm feeling for the day. But they say to find the perfect shade of blush for you. You can match it to your natural flush color or match it to your natural lip color. But I've been super into the Keys blush lately. It's the shade. It's gorgeous. I'm going to apply my lip plumper now. That way it has time to fully set in before I get to the lips. Picking a lip plumper is definitely trial and error. You have to see what tingle you're okay with and which one you can't handle. Now let's talk about powders. There's really two different kinds of setting powders. You have loose setting powders and pressed setting powders. And what you choose depends on your skin type and your goal finish. Loose setting powders are usually good for baking, smoothing out your under eyes, and then pressed powders are usually good for really just locking in all of your products and using it on all of your face. Pressed powders are also good for touch-ups as they are not very messy and they are very compact, so it's easy. It's very travel friendly. If you have oily skin, a matte powder is probably going to be the way to go. If you have dry skin, a radiant or hydrating powder is going to be the way to go. It's going to help your skin look more hydrated, obviously. I mean, it's in the name. If you have combination skin, you could do a mix of both. A lot of people will go in with a loose and pressed powder. You could put a matte finish in all of your oil spots and then a hydrating finish everywhere on top of that or everywhere else. Me personally, I put my loose powder everywhere, especially under my eyes. I'll brush it off and put my pressed powder on over top of everything just to really smooth everything out. Now for powder, bronzer, and blush, your powders set your creams. When you're applying powder, bronzer, and blush, you want to put it over top of where you put your cream product. When I do contour my lips too, I do not put powder bronzer on those. But adding the powder, blush, and bronzer is going to add more dimension. Usually a matte bronzer is going to look more sculpted and look a little bit more natural. And if you go with one with a little bit of shimmer, it's going to be a little glowier. It's going to give sun-kissed vibes. Like with the cream, if you go for a warm tone, it's going to give sun-kissed glowy vibes. If you go for a cool tone, it's going to be more snatched. If you go for a solid in-between, it's just going to be more natural. I honestly go back and forth between glowy and matte bronzers all the time. For blush, your blush shade can change everything. If you go for more of a bright pink shade, it's going to be more doll-like and like fresh. Whereas if you go for a peach, it's going to give more youthful and universal. If you go for more of a mauve or even sometimes a red, it'll be more romantic and it can be like frostbitten type vibe. If you go for a berry, it's going to be pretty bold yet flattering. And then lastly, if you go for a tan or a rose, those are great for warm undertones. I personally opt for a deep mauve and berry shade mixed together most days. So I'll put my mauve shade down here, go in with the berry shade and put it on top. For highlighter, pick what you love. Pick the shade you love, pick the type you love. Sometimes I will go for a blinding look, and other times I just want a subtle little glow. In case you didn't know this, highlighter has undertones too. For fair skin, you want to go for like icy pink, champagne type shade. Medium, you should go for a gold or a rose gold. And for deep, you want to go for a bronze or actual gold and a copper. But like I said, use what you love. Use what you love. For eyeshadow, unless you absolutely hate shimmer, you should definitely go for a palette that has both mattes and shimmers in it. You want at least one transitional shade that's in your undertone. Palette size depends on your preference. Smaller palettes with like 6 to 9 shades can be usable, but it's less versatile. And bigger palettes with 9 to 12 or more are going to be a lot more versatile. You could go bold, smoky eye, and it also has different formulas. It has cream to powder, it has creams, it has powders, it has shimmers, it has all sorts of things. So this is usually my go-to when I travel. The color story, you can make it work for anything. Then you also have ones like the Michaela Glam Light palette, which have everything. This palette is so versatile. It was my favorite for a long time because it works for anything. You could have a super fun makeup look and use this palette. You could go for super natural, use this palette. When you're picking a texture, you want blendable. You want blendable. So look for words like blendable, buttery, and pigmented. Everyday neutrals are always a good thing to have. Honestly, I think everyone should have everyday neutrals in their makeup collection. Cool colors are good too because they can give soft glam, and you could even go for like a early 2000s type. More warm tones, it definitely gives vacation vibe, and then colorful tones for creative looks. Kind of get a go with what you're good at, what you love, and what you do most of all, and then you can narrow down what palette. I'm going to go in with my Huda Beauty, and I'm going to do a very simple look. This palette is super pigmented, super blendable, and buildable. I'm only going to use 3 shades, and I'll show you at the end. Okay, I used 4 because I did put some in my inner corner, but look at that look. Perfect smoky, sultry eye right there. Okay, so for eyeliner, it depends on your goal. Pencils and creams are easy to smudge. They're good for tight lining. A gel pot is going to be best for long wear. A liquid felt tip is great for precise wings. It gives bold and crisp lines. Full-on liquid, like a brush tip, is going to give you the best wing. For picking shade, if you wanted something a little bit less dramatic than black, opt for a brown. Oftentimes brown will also bring out the shade of people's eyes. It's also more of a soft, natural type vibe. Black is obviously going to be more bold and dramatic. You could also go for a navy. That one often brightens. And then putting a white or nude in your waterline is going to really help your eyes pop. It also helps you look more awake. For mascara, you want to pick it based on your lash problem. If you have short lashes, you're going to really want a lengthening mascara. If you have really straight lashes and you want them curled, you're going to want to curl them and then go for a curl holding formula. For sparse lashes, you want volumizing. And if you have sensitive eyes, a lot of times tubing mascaras are going to be best for you. If you have all of the above, you want one with everything. Picking lashes is honestly like picking your personality for the day. If you want to go natural, soft glam type vibes, you're going to want to go for more natural looking lashes. So that's going to be short, wispy, even a half lash, invisible bands. These are all good things for that. If you want a cat eye type look, you want it to be longer on the outer corners. Lash can be good for these too. If you want to go for more of a doll eye type look, you want it longer in the center of your eyeball. Glam often is going to be thick and layered. And if you think lashes look too heavy, go for a lighter, softer, or less visible band, or even a clear band. The other thing to look for is, are you allergic to lash glue? Because if you're allergic to lash glue, they do have glueless lashes, which I personally love. Lily Lashes has been the best one that I've found. I love their styles. They work super well, and they're very versatile. Today, I will be wearing Lily Lashes in the style Miami. These are my go-to bold ones. These in Mykonos, love them. Lip liners you want to choose by the undertone and the purpose. You are only doing a natural lip overlining. You're going to want to go slightly darker than your natural color. If you're going for a completely natural lip, just match your lip color. With a nude lip, oftentimes browns work best. And if you're going for a bold lip or any kind of colorful lip, you want to go and match the shade of the lip color you're doing or go slightly darker. I usually recommend 1 shade darker, especially for like ombre type lips. But if you want a super dramatic ombre lip, go a few shades darker. As you can see, it's a bit darker than my actual lip shade. Now, for your lip color, the type of lip color you use is depending on what you want and what you like. If you're wanting something long wear, usually a stain or a matte is going to work best. However, some of them can be drying on your lips, so topping it with a gloss or something might help. If you go with a cream texture, it'll be comfy and kind of natural. And if you go with a satin finish lip, it's going to be elegant and classic. And if you're going with a sheer shade, you're gonna just go more with everyday. Lip paints and liquid lips are kind of the same thing. They are very long wear and they can definitely be bold. Hate the dryness, you can either top it with a gloss or you could go with a mousse or satin gloss instead. You can top everything off with a gloss, honestly. A lot of times that's what I do. If you're going with a clear gloss, it can help with a juicy lip or everyday type look. A tinted gloss is going to give a slight subtle color. A shimmer can help with the plumping effect, and then a lip plumper is obviously going to plump your lip. I personally use a lip plumper towards the beginning of my makeup routine just so that then it has time to actually plump my lips. They can tingle and they can hurt sometimes, but they do give fuller lips. Brows are completely up to you. I personally use the Benefit tinted gel, and then I'll go in with the clear supersetter on top just to really lock it in place. A lot of people I know will just go in with a pencil or, you know, a cream or a pomade. It's really up to you and your goals. If you want your brows to look more natural, going in with a pencil or a cream and then brushing it out, or putting even a tinted gel or even a clear gel on top, will definitely help amplify that natural brow look. But if you don't have eyebrows, drawing them on with a pomade might work best. And when picking your brow shade, to get it as close to or a little bit darker than your hair color, natural or not. If you have a crazy hair color, it's really, you can go with anything. Last step, we have setting spray. So we're going back to skin types. If you have oily, you're gonna opt for a matte oil control or long wear setting spray. For dry skin, typically you would go for a radiant, glowy, hydrating long wear setting spray. And if you have combination skin, you could either go in with both or settle for one in between. You could go in with a matte one in your oil areas and then a hydrating one all over after. But no matter what, for longevity, you really want to go for a 24-hour or just a long wear setting spray. And that way your makeup really locks in. And as a pro tip, if you set your face after every few steps, it's going to increase the longevity of your makeup. Alrighty, hopefully now you can feel a little bit more confident when you're standing in the makeup aisle trying to pick what's going to work best for you. Like I said earlier, a lot of it really is just trial and error. Don't be afraid to try new things. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram or TikTok, or just comment below. If you guys want me to do a series where I recommend my top products in each category for each skin type, let me know. I can do that. As always, remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more weekly makeup content. Share this with a friend who also gets overwhelmed when standing in the makeup aisle. See you guys next week.